I do have the Lilac shoes on. I'm going to show you them. Show you them later. My team bought me Lilac shoes. Get yourself a team to buy you shoes. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So I'm going to ask my panel to introduce themselves. Start to my left. Dr. Mark Esho. Tell us, how did you become an entrepreneur?
So I initially had polio when I was 5. Initially paralysed from the neck down. Quite fortunate. I recovered to where I am now. About 30 or 25, about 25, 30 years later, I developed the post-polio syndrome, very similar to COVID, where COVID, which caused chronic fatigue, Parkinson's-like symptoms, and essentially I had to leave my job, so I needed a job that would offer me flexibility. But this was in 2000, and there weren't a lot of jobs back then that could offer me that flexibility. So I thought to myself, well, I'm going to start off in business. So I started my first business, which is called Houses Online. My claim to fame is I did Rightmove before Rightmove. And I pitched it to the Leicester Mercury, who thought it was absolutely fantastic, developed the website, and after I developed it, went to actually demo the website to them, and they said, oh sorry, we've spoken to all the estate agents, and if we take this on, they'll stop advertising with us. So I ended up losing all my money. Massive disaster. But then I decided, okay, I'm going to go into digital marketing. So with a credit card, because I didn't have any money. My bank wouldn't give me any money because my bank actually thought I was a joke. And that's when I set up my first company. So I set up my first company 23 years ago. So I set up one of the first digital marketing agencies in the UK, sorry, in the Midlands, probably not the UK. In 2004, I set up my second company, Easy Internet Solutions, which is now based in Bournemouth. I've sold that one now, and again scaled that up. And I think that kind of wraps it up. In terms of where I am now, I stepped out from my businesses about 4 years ago, to work on passion projects. So I've got 2 passion projects. I've got Access Rating. So we created an app which allowed same people to make access reviews on every public venue across the UK. That's now been replicated, so we're now working. So basically what our focus now is on access audits and also on the SEN work placements that we deliver to schools. We're the first organisation in the UK to actually offer remote work placements to SEN students. And my current project is called Ability Connect. So working with Leicester University, we've come up with a course which basically gives disabled entrepreneurs the competencies that they need to start up in business. And I'm also a private investor. That's it for me.
I was very busy. Thank you. Sarah, over to you. Tell us, how did you get started as an entrepreneur?
Hello, I'm Sarah Berton and I'm founder of Excel Against the Odds. I started my business as a lead. As you saw in the video, I have several chronic illnesses, and I lost my career as a result of that because I wasn't able to work full time. I wasn't able to do the travelling that I was previously doing, and I kind of lost my identity and my hope for the future. Eventually, I started getting health back on track to a certain extent, but I knew that I could never return to the career that I had before. I was able to get a job, but it was never ever going to lead to anything exciting or what I was hoping for. And so I had the idea of starting a business. My first business was making natural skincare, making kits for children and running parties. But I ran it in a way that didn't work with my health. I was getting advice online from mentors and from training courses, and they weren't made in a way that understood how it was to work with chronic illness or disability. And as a result, I made my health a lot worse. And I was trying to find advice on how to run a business with a disability and couldn't find anything at all. So I set it out as my mission to try and work out the best way to run a business with chronic illness. And I started Excel Against the Odds. The first thing I did was set up a Facebook group called Entrepreneurs Against the Odds for business owners with chronic illnesses, to create an area where people feel that they're not alone, that they have other people who know exactly what it's like to run a business with chronic illness and to provide support for each other. And from there, I've led on to mentoring and running training courses. And I also now work with larger organisations to give them advice on how they can better support employees with chronic illnesses as well.
Amazing, thank you, Sarah, and look, fabulous video, fabulous, thank you. And last but by no means least, Joseph. Hello.
Hi. So just in case it needed, I'm Joseph. I'm red-haired white man with glasses and a great jumper. Every day's branding day. This is my company. I started my journey into entrepreneurialism by the same as I think most people, innovation through necessity. I tried to have a corporate career, but did not have very accommodating hiring managers, and was often kind of the person that would be sat in the corner doing great work, arguably, but never really kind of integrated part of the team because neurotypical environments are the norm, and being different, particularly in the early 2000s, was not yet protected, and so you got treated in a very different way. So I became a consultant, and had a pretty decent run at that. I mean, it was basically glorified project management, but led digital transformation projects and kind of really came into my own and realized that I was actually really good at analysis. I didn't go to university. I didn't have a kind of a platform to work from, so I kind of like found this space where I was actually quite good, but I had a similar problem in every single one of those spaces, which was as soon as I would start talking to people and tell them what I was doing, they would say, well, where did you study that? Well, I didn't study, I learnt it. And I was instantly discredited. So I realized that we place an incredible value on where people have learned things as opposed to them actually being able to do the thing that they do. And so I did the most sensible thing that anyone would do at the height of a career in their kind of late 20s and quit, and became a poor entrepreneur. But we now, myself and my co-founder and boyfriend Kalen, run a work-tech AI company. We're building a kind of universal skills language model that helps government, industry and education standardize the way that we're talking about skills and understanding skills gaps so that we can actually start making tangible improvements in the way that we are closing and bringing and contextualizing people with great skills that are just not learnt on the normal pathway into the new world of work.
Amazing, thank you. Redhead, thank you.
Is it redhead?
We call it red. You've all touched on some of the barriers that you face, but I wanted to dig into that a little bit. And one of the things that we want to understand better throughout the Lilac review. Mark, tell us key barriers that you faced.
I think for me, the main key barrier is the credibility gap. As a disabled person, your credibility is pretty low. You're discounted generally. If you're black, then you're doubly discounted. So you've basically got no choice whatsoever. Also, actually, lack of a support network as well. In terms of when I started out, I did not have those connections. I didn't have the right people to actually support me. I had great ideas, but I didn't have the actual network to actually support those ideas. And also some of it's also the societal barriers as well. Is the unconscious bias. I know I've touched on that already. Is that it's always find it very difficult on people's attitudes, and I think that's what made it really hard. And I was also managing my disability as well, because I get chronic fatigue, so I've only got a limited bandwidth in which to perform. Outside of that, so I need to be very, very focused and very concentrated on as to how I use my time.
Right. Sarah, similar barriers, what are you finding? And we talked a bit about chronic fatigue there as well.
Yes, likewise I have chronic fatigue, so it's about trying to find the way to run a business within those constraints, so learning how to work smarter, not harder, having the right connections. And I think key is to have the right training and mentoring and role models in place so that you know it is possible, and that to get that right, correct training so that you aren't making mistakes which are detrimental to your health, because that's definitely something that I went through. I made my health a lot worse when I started my first business, and I had the wrong business model as well. It wasn't conducive to my health condition. Running parties when you've got chronic fatigue, and when you have got syndrome which means you can't stand up for long, it's not a great idea. But it took me the experience of running it to realise that. So trying to make sure that the right business models and having that guidance to know that there are different ways of running a similar business, the different types of business models can be very important.
Thank you. And Josie, you talked about some barriers already. People perceive you in the workplace and a lot. What are the barriers that you've found in running your business and growing your business?
Yeah, I'll focus on growth because I guess another hat I have is a campaigner for equitable access to opportunities in the VC space.
And that's called, I didn't think you saw
Access
that.
to